So you know the Miis, you love them, I assume, and you know the history about them. You've seen 10,000 videos on the history of them, so let's just cut to the chase. The Miis aren't dead, and we know this, but why does that even matter? The Miis have had a long history, far longer than you probably think. Lots of highs, lots of lows, lots of weird stuff, but let's take a look at their weird, crazy history. It starts off by taking the clock back much further than the Wii. We take the clock back to the 1980s. Shigeru Miyamoto, during a game developers conference, spoke about the upbringing of Miis. The concept of Nintendo having an avatar creator was originally made as a demo for the Famicom disk system, but since they couldn't figure out how to turn this into a game, they ultimately scrapped the idea. It was essentially just a face picture generator. You had different types of chins, eyes, noses, mouths, but other than that, you didn't have much control. You couldn't change where the nose was, or where the eyes were, or how big the mouth was. The face was always in black and white. There wasn't really much to do. It's easy to see why Nintendo didn't feel like they could do anything with this concept at the time. So what this really was the foundation of what Miis would become. You made a face. Now we take the clock forward to the humble year of 1999. Now you may be asking, the Wii came out in 2006. Why are we only going 7 years before that? Shh. Don't worry, I promise I'm gonna get to that. In the late 90s, there was a silly little console called the N64, and the N64 was sick and tired of being picked on by the way more popular and much cooler PlayStation. So the N64 wanted to take steroids, and by steroids I mean the DD, the disk drive. The 64 DD was Nintendo's answer to complaints regarding cartridges, which was a controversy at the time. Everybody else was using discs, and Nintendo, like they usually are, was living in the past, still using cartridges. This motherfucker was like injecting your N64 with pure adrenaline, except it had no goddamn games. Yeah, but 4 of them are Mario Artist, one of them is an expansion to an already existing game, so I mean yeah, it's like over under 4 games and a carton of strawberry milk. But one of those games, Mario Artist Talent Studio, actually played a big role in the history of the Mii. These Mario Artist games are like the successor to Mario Paint, far more advanced, much more to do. Talent Studio included an avatar creator. As you could see, it's much more complex than Mii creation. You could change the location of features on the X, Y, and Z axis, which for normal people means you can move stuff forward and back instead of just up, down, left, right. You had tons of detailed options, tons of colors. You could even customize their clothing. They're much more realistic in proportion and features. They have ears! Ears! Look, you can even add this little guy. I like that. I wish Miis had pets. I know they have pets in Wii Sports and Wii Fit, but we could never create our own pet. Let me make my dog, Nintendo. I want to put my dog with my Mii. You could even use the Game Boy camera to put a picture of your own face on your avatar. You didn't even have to do any of the work. The camera would do the work for you. I see why these didn't stick. These avatars go to show that sometimes less is more. It's not as intuitive as the Mii Maker is, and I even think these avatars are kinda creepy sometimes. Yeah, I think you guys agree too. But this is a big stepping stone. Mario Artist avatars were the first public appearance of Nintendo having an avatar creator. This is the first true stepping stone in the journey to the Mii as we know today. And it's kinda sweet. It's like these weird things are the Mii's grandparents.
We would like to play.
The Miis made their first official appearance on a Nintendo console on the Wii, with the Mii Channel. Miis are so ingrained into the Wii's ecosystem, and likewise, Miis are very Wii-era coded because of that. It's obvious how important Miis are to the system, because look at this home menu. You have your game, and then right next to it is the Mii Channel. Before anything else, the Mii Channel. There's something so special about this version of the Mii Maker. Maybe it's because it's the first version, but I think it holds a special place in everyone's heart. So much so that the Mii Plaza theme song from this channel is just called the Wii theme by so many people. And those people are tourists, but it's okay. We're united by our love for Miis, so they get a pass. Miis came out at a perfect time. It's easy to look back and say, oh yeah, the Miis just worked great on the Wii. But it's obvious why they work, and why they were so necessary at the time. Late CEO of Nintendo Iwata even called the Mii trademark, quote, as valuable to Nintendo as that of the Mario brand. They considered Miis as important to Nintendo at that point as Mario. Keep in mind, the Mii was catering to an audience beyond the traditional gamer. It was for grandma, and grandma doesn't know what a King K. Rool or a Legend of Zelda is. So when grandma wants to play tennis, what better way to convey who she's playing as than literally having her play as herself? Those We Would Like to Play commercials perfectly convey the feeling that the Wii had on families. The family huddled around a TV, watching each other make each other, playing around with elements like giving someone a big nose or giving someone funny hair. That's how Mii creating was. I've heard the commercial at the business meeting where the employees are laughing while making their boss's Mii is based on a true story, but I couldn't confirm if it was just a rumor or not. I hope it's real, because I love this commercial. I think it's really funny. And while we're on it, let me just say, these commercials are fucking awesome. I love them so much. I know a lot of people call them weird or creepy, but dude, two Japanese businessmen going door to door showing off a console that no one's heard of before saying,
We would like to play.
Is such a fever dream. I love them. And I can't tell you how much these really encapsulate what it was like to make a Mii with friends or family. I can't tell you how many times me and my cousins would finish a long day of Mario Party 8 or Mario Kart Wii or whatever game we were playing that day. We would just start screwing around in the Mii Maker, whether it was trying to make characters that we liked, like Mario or Link or Zelda, or just trying to make the most horrible creation you've ever seen. We always had such a blast just making Miis. Now, the Mii's first game needs no introduction. The launch title, Wii Sports. Everybody had this game. It was packed in with every Wii at launch. And let me just take this moment to thank Reggie Fils-Aimé. He fought to make sure that this game was a free pack-in title with every console. And it needs to be appreciated, because that bum Doug Bowser could never. But other than games, in 2007, Nintendo expanded their Wii Connect 24 program. 3 new channels that used the program were advertised on Wii's in North America. The Nintendo channel, the Everybody Votes channel, and the Check Me Out channel, the latter two being heavily Mii orientated. The Everybody Votes channel was a fun application where Nintendo would send out opinion polls onto your Wii. You could drag and drop you or your friends' Miis to vote. Along with that, you could also use your Miis to predict what you would think would be the more popular choice. Nintendo was really ingraining gambling into our heads a lot during this era. Maybe that's why I'm the way I am today. And much more Mii orientated is the Check Me Out channel. I love that name. Nintendo was really hitting the mark on the names during this era. This was your hub to share and find Miis from around the world. Think of it as the world's Mii Plaza. Nintendo knew Mii making was an art form, so through this channel they sent out Mii making contests where people would create Miis and then people would vote what Mii fit the category best. Nintendo literally called these people Mii artisans. Then, in 2008, Miis made their way onto the DS. What game do you think that is? You probably guessed Tomodachi Collection, but that's actually incorrect. The first DS game to use Miis was Personal Trainer Walking. Or as it's known in Europe, Walk With Me. Do you know your walking routine? Or as it's known in Japan,
歩いてわかる生活リズム D です。
Sadly, I don't have the game, and I don't want to just steal someone else's content on the video. So here's some pictures of the Miis in-game that I found on the internet. This game's actually pretty obscure. There's not many good pictures on it, which is kinda crazy. And while we're at it, yeah, let's talk about Tomodachi Collection for a bit. To me, Tomodachi is the Mii game. I'm sure most people think of the Wii series games, but those just use Miis as their characters to play. Tomodachi gives your Miis personality and lets them interact, go about their day-to-day life, eat, have relationships, have children, die. Tomodachi Collection was only released in Japan. It would have gotten a Western release too, but they couldn't localize the vocal software to handle English properly, which makes sense. It's a pretty big conversion. If you've played Tomodachi Life, then you've basically seen everything this game has to offer. Outside of the Japan region exclusive stuff like food and clothing, this game is just a watered down Tomodachi Life. The sequel expanded literally everything the game had to offer. There's really no reason to go back to this one other than to gawk at the novelty of having Miis on the DS. There is one exclusive thing. If you want to get a job diagnosis. Oh god, horror games are getting too scary. I kind of don't want to be a farmer. I hope this game isn't true. Back to 2008. Since the Wii was an ultra success and Sony and Xbox were crying knowing that they would have to fight for who can contend for second place, they both tried to steal the Wii's flow. We're gonna ignore the PS3 though, since we're talking about Miis and the PlayStation never ripped the Mii off. But Xbox. They made the Kinect, and they wanted to capitalize off of motion control technology to try and cater to grandma from before. And it kinda worked. For a little bit. Your body is the controller. That was a perfect way to market to the casual who doesn't know what a B button is. But I think it was a mix of poor marketing and the fact that the technology was just way ahead of its time. And that ended up making the Kinect a failure. But with the Kinect came these off-brand Miis. They're called avatars. What a creative name. Look, I'm gonna be so real. I unironically love these Xbox avatars. They are nowhere near in the same stratosphere as the Mii, but I like them. They're nostalgic. And let me tell you, you don't want to catch these hands in Kinect Sports Boxing because I am a demon in that ring. The second Nintendo console to feature Miis was the 3DS in 2011, and with it came an upgraded Mii creator, now called Mii Maker. Since it wasn't a channel anymore, you got new types of face shapes, 5 new pages of hair, new eyes, noses, mouths, and other than that, it was the same old Mii Maker you loved, but in your pocket. During the 3DS and Wii U era, we saw the continuation of the Wii series, which of course featured Miis in all their glory, but on the 3DS we got something else, called Street Pass. Preloaded on every 3DS, this was a half app, half game. What it did was whenever your 3DS was near another 3DS, you'd get that person's Street Pass tag. When you opened up Street Pass Mii Plaza, you would get their Mii, a little greeting, you could see what game they last played, and you could play minigames with this person's Mii, like fighting in a fantasy RPG or collecting puzzle pieces that they had to complete your own, or receiving pieces for a ghost puzzle. Nintendo released 14 games for Street Pass, and most of them were paid DLC. Street Pass is awesome, but there's so much to cover on it, I think it could get its own video, so if you do want to see that, let me know. I'd love to make a video on it. Like we spoke about earlier, Tomodachi Life released everywhere on the 3DS, and wow. This game is so damn good. Such a quirky and fun game. Seeing Miis all interact with each other really scratches that itch deep in my brain. I remember being insanely hyped for this game to come out as a kid. Had to wait all the way until my birthday to get it though. So it was torture seeing my cousins have full families and grandchildren and I couldn't even get my hands on the damn game. Mii Fighters became a playable character in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. And though I don't play as them much, just the fact that you can add anyone to the game using Miis, I think that's awesome. Yeah, so what if I want to have a match between Peter Griffin and Teddy Roosevelt on Boxing Ring? Who are you to judge? And Nintendo knew people would add anyone to the game, so they went all in on the idea. They had Reggie and Iwata have the best fighter trailer for any character, and they gave Miis with some funny splash text. Really, that trailer was actually the best. People don't know, bro. This is the greatest trailer of all time. Miis were actually considered for Super Smash Bros. Brawl at one point, but series director Sakurai said it didn't seem right at the time for Miis to be punching and kicking, and I agree with him. Now, we're in the later stage of the Wii U and 3DS era, and we got 2 big Mii-related games. First was Mitomo. Not a 3DS game, not a Wii U game, somewhere in between? No, it was a mobile game. When this came out, I was totally catfished into thinking it was a brand new Tomodachi Life. But no, it was just a bunch of questions. You could take pictures and share them on social media. But other than that, Mitomo wasn't much to write home about. And everyone agreed because the player base just kept on dropping. In Mitomo's defense, it was Nintendo dipping their toes into the mobile game market, a pretty mediocre entry to the games that feature Miis. But on the contrary, Miitopia is great. It's a Mii-based RPG where every character is a Mii, literally every character. The Dark Lord, the game's main antagonist, steals the Mii's faces using them to control his minions and taking over the world. This is literally the perfect idea for a Mii-based RPG because that's what the Mii is. The Mii is its face. You travel across a diverse land, your traditional grasslands, deserts, mystical forests. It's cheesy in the best way possible. You have tons of classes which are called jobs to choose from, like your classic RPG classes like warrior, thief, mage, cleric. But then you have some weirder ones, more unorthodox ones, like pop star, chef, cat, and flower. Yeah, unorthodox. You're forced to try out new jobs and experiment because every time you enter a new area, the Dark Lord kidnaps all of your friends and takes your job away. Oh no, please don't take my job, I totally want to work. I had a lot of fun with Miitopia when it came out, and if I had to criticize anything, it's that the voices aren't like Tomodachi, where you can hear them speak full sentences. It's just random gibberish voice and text on the screen. But other than that, Miitopia is one of the best Mii games, and I love it so much. And then, things went dark for a while. We enter the Switch era, and Miis took a back seat. First off, there was no longer a dedicated Mii application like the Wii, 3DS, or Wii U. No. Instead, you have to dig into the settings app to find Miis. Look how much longer it takes to get to the Mii Maker on Switch. Miis have a shit ton of colors for eyes and hair now. That's good, but why is it in settings? Not so much important to the history of Miis, but just a fun fact that happened during the Switch era. NPCs in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild are Miis. You can essentially mod your own Mii into Breath of the Wild. Credit to Hey I'm Heroic for finding this out because this is really cool and I would have never known this. The only thing Miis really had going for them during this era was that they were in Smash Ultimate, but so was everyone else, so is that really a win? Like, sure, they're in the game, but so was Dr. Mario. It's like Nintendo had such a reluctance to use Miis at the time. Clubhouse Games released on Switch and could have been a perfect opportunity to use Miis to represent your player, but nope. You get an assortment of non-customizable plastic humans. What the fuck is this, Nintendo? But then in 2021, we got Miitopia on Switch. Oh yeah, baby, Miitopia is back! And they enhanced it. Lots of quality of life improvements, the graphics looked awesome.
Peter, the horse is here.
Oh yeah.
And there's even a brand new makeup and wig system. You could create some crazy stuff that you couldn't begin to do with Mii tools. People made some really awesome stuff with this game. It did feel a bit overkill at times though. And maybe that's because I prefer the simplistic charm of the Mii Maker tools, but I still think some of this is awesome. Then, in a Nintendo Direct, they showed off Nintendo Switch Sports. I was jumping and pounding my chest like a gorilla. Finally, the Miis were getting their spot back. First Miitopia, now we have Nintendo Switch Sports. And then they dropped the bombshell on us that Miis are just an afterthought? I'm sorry, but I need to vent for a minute because what the fuck do you mean? You went out of your way to create an entire game based around Wii Sports, considered a successor to the Wii series, put the motif of Wii Sports in the theme song of the game, and Miis are an afterthought? They're not even on the box. Did you think you could replace our Miis with these fucking Sporticons? I don't even want to say their name because they don't deserve it. They're called Sportsmates, by the way, in case you were wondering. So, the Miis didn't have a great tenure on the Switch. The Switch 2 shows some promise. So, let's talk about the... So now, we're in the here and now. Miis certainly aren't dead, but they most definitely aren't living with flying colors like they once were. The most recent Mii news is the fact that Tomodachi Life is getting a sequel for the Nintendo Switch in 2026. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. That's great. That's really great. I'm super excited for it. But I want you to really take a look at these Miis. They're not fully Miis. It reminds me of Miitopia on the Switch. They had makeup and wigs, which we spoke about before. I wonder if this will be similar. Maybe it's just me, but I almost hope it's not as complex as Miitopia's creator, because something about making a character from assets only given by the Mii creator, it's so charming to me. And while the makeup in Miitopia is great and all, to me it kinda loses some of that spirit. In any case, we don't really know yet. It's too early to tell. What is certain is that the hair is 100% different. This is probably a wig system. It is also kinda weird that there's no definitive Mii Maker hairs in the trailer. Maybe it takes hairs from the Mii Maker and converts them to a respective wig type. I don't know. We still know so little about Tomodachi Life Living the Dream at this point. I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a great game that tons of people have fun with, myself included. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little afraid it wasn't going to live up to the hype of the previous games. I don't know. In the 2020s, we've been let down so many times, even by Nintendo, so maybe I'm just traumatized. In other present-day news, the Nintendo Museum in Kyoto has passes that visitors wear to identify themselves, like any museum has. Instead of using a photograph to identify themselves, they actually use Miis. So if you go to the Nintendo Museum, the pass itself is essentially its own souvenir because it has your own personal Mii on it. And the fact that this is even news is kinda sad, but Nintendo also used Miis in their explanation for digital game cards. Yeah, I mean, it's something. They're still using Miis to advertise something, so I think that speaks for, I don't know, something. After the drought the Miis have had, I think it's fair to call this one a win. So we already have Tomodachi Life Living the Dream on the way, and that's genuinely huge for Miis. So what's next? Well, we know Miis are still unfortunately hidden in system settings for the Switch too. That stinks. Like, yeah, it's great Miis are still supported on the console, but could you at least give them like a little bottom icon on the console menu? The least they could do is put a little circle icon next to like the album or controllers. How are kids who don't know about Miis gonna figure out they're even on the console? They'll never get to experience creating their own little avatars or their favorite characters or making the most butt-ugly Mii possible because Nintendo has the creator tucked away. I don't know, maybe I'm just emotional about it because that's what I grew up doing, when the Mii Maker always had a spot on the home menu, not far away from the disc or cartridge slot. So since we already have something Mii related confirmed for the future, let's predict what else could potentially happen for the Miis. Mario Kart World. So far, Miis have been in every Mario Kart since their first appearance in Mario Kart Wii. We haven't seen them in any roster or footage yet, so are the Miis cut from Mario Kart World? It's possible. It seems that they're moving away from the non-Mario characters and going in the complete opposite direction and adding every f***ing Mario character under the sun. It's still too early to tell definitively, and I think we'll know by the Direct. If I had to guess though, I would assume Miis are not in Mario Kart World. Super Smash Bros. So there's no doubt about it, a Smash Bros game will eventually release on the Switch too. Emphasis on eventually. And I think Miis will remain a fighter, no matter what. Hey, shameless plug by the way, if you haven't watched it yet, check out my Super Smash Bros video. I predict and imagine the next Smash Bros, and I cut the roster in half. I think it's a pretty good video, you might like it. Miitopia 2. You guys already know, I love Miitopia. It was simple but fun. I feel like there's way more you can do with the idea of a Mii RPG. Tons of story ideas, tons of way to expand the game. Think of all the classes they could add. Maybe instead of being a stereotypical fantasy theme, they do something like futuristic or go into a real world setting. Almost like the Dark Lord was taking over Tomodachi Life or something. It's clear Nintendo still cares about the Mii, but they're just so weird with it. It's like they want to move on, but they know fans don't, so they get cold feet. I hope they don't move on, because to me, they're the perfect character creator. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you learned something, and if you did, it would be greatly appreciated if you could like and subscribe. It shows me that people actually enjoy the stuff that I do and inspires me to continue. And comment too. I try to respond to all my comments. Anyways, that's all I got. Hope to see you in the next one, and have a good one.